it was really, really hard for me to make that transition from thinking that I was not a songwriter, that I didn't know what I was doing, that because I didn't study it, that I had no idea how to create songs. But in reality, and I think this trip here in the last week has actually really solidified what I think about my own songwriting, and it's really confirmed to me that I actually can do it.
They hate when you elevate. You're stacking up losses, I'm handing them out, I had to go delegate. It feel like I'm floating, I'm lost in the moment, I swear I could levitate.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode. It is your boy Sbpress on Express Yourself with Sbpress. And again, it is not about me. It's about the amazing guests we have in today. I just want to say thank you for being here. But first, let me go ahead and go down the list for you. Amazing songwriter, amazing artist, talented, beautiful, the one and only electric pop queen, Miss PRINS.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you. And let the people know how long you actually been here, and we'll get to where you're really from.
Yeah, I've been here just over a week.
Yeah, so.
And we organized this not very long ago.
Right. This is a working thing, but thank you for taking the time out to be here, because I know you got a lot of things going. You actually have a session after this, too.
I do.
So let the audience and viewers know where exactly you're from, because I know they want to know, where's the accent from?
Detroit.
Yeah.
No, I'm from New Zealand, way down the bottom of the earth. Most people think that it's a part of Australia, and it's not. Some people think I'm close to Switzerland, and it's not. It could not be further away. But I flew 12 hours to come on this podcast.
Another 12-hour flight. My heart is warm.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And I don't like to just do things one time, so I would love to have you on in the future again after 100%. Your tours and all that stuff, because we're going to go down the list of that. But first, let's start off with letting them know, your family upbringing and stuff.
My family upbringing. I grew up in Auckland, New Zealand, which is the biggest city in New Zealand. And yeah, got an older brother. My parents still together. Grew up in West Auckland, so I had a lot of Pacific Island influence around school. That was my family upbringing. Just my parents and my older brother, who's about 2 years older than me, and lived in Auckland for 18 years until I left high school and moved to Christchurch, which is in the South Island. A really, really small town, 380,000, which is it's pretty small. It's actually the second biggest city in New Zealand, and that's how small it is.
That don't sound big at all.
Yeah, it's really not. And I lived there up until about a year ago. In April last year, I decided to become a full-time touring artist, and I have not had a permanent address for about 10 months. So I've been living on the road for 10 months, which is wild.
Suitcase living?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. A real thing.
What is your nutrition like right now then?
Oh, it's up and down. I'm not gonna lie. It's really important to me, but I've found it quite difficult in America, especially. Which I don't want to say that, but it
no,
is.
say it.
Yeah,
we
say
say it too,
Let 'em
girl.
know.
We say it too.
Yeah, everything's
Really
just
bad.
like covered in sugar and
Sugar, spice, and everything
it's
nice.
Hard. It's hard to. I'm finding it hard to eat healthy here, which, I'm sure there's a way around it. I just haven't been here that long, and just being busy obviously makes it hard as well.
Well, if you have the time to consume badly, then you just got to work out better.
Yes,
so it's
true.
Rest then nutrition, then exercise. So, just try to get your rest in, even though you're working all the dang time.
Yes.
And nutrition comes and goes throughout your day. So have some fruits and vegetables.
I will, if I can find some.
And get some
that,
stretching
get
and
that
lunges in.
AG1, those.
Right.
If you have to eat, if you can't find like the right things to eat, add more supplements into your life.
Yeah,
It'll
100%.
definitely help.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the stylist queen behind the scenes, Ja.
Yeah.
And before we get back into this, we had a small talk while Jai was off doing her thing, and we will be collaborating, these two amazing artists.
I hope so.
Yes. 100%.
Yes,
Wow.
bridging the gap on that. She's gonna be doing some stylists for this amazing artist.
Genuinely, let's make it happen.
Yes.
It's recorded.
It's recorded.
Yeah,
So
Signed,
signed,
facts.
sealed, delivered.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not joking.
Oh no, exactly. That's why I was like, I can't hold this in anymore. I have to get this out. But let's start with your musical influences, and at an early age, who in your household and what type of music was going on in your household?
So I grew up listening to a lot of sort of like the Eagles, Elton John, you know, a lot of older stuff. And it wasn't really until I got my own stereo that I remember actually a very, very clear memory of mine, which was very funny. I had like a little Walkman radio, and I was in my bed late at night, and I wasn't supposed to be listening to music, but I was like, I was scanning the stations, and I came across Flavor, which is like hip hop R&B, and I'd never heard this before, like genuinely never heard. I don't know how old I was. I must have been like 7 or something. And I was listening to it, and I was listening to the lyrics, and I was like, oh my God, like I shouldn't be listening to this. And I was addicted. Like, I loved it. And then I started doing dancing a lot. You know, from sort of 5, I did like tap jazz, Irish, contemporary, hip hop. And so obviously with the hip hop influence and my love for music, it's sort of, you can see it developing now with you know, what I'm doing on stage with backup dancers and things like that. It's really developed into a full thing for me. So yeah, I kind of have been listening to quite a mixture of stuff, and I feel like as an artist I kind of have to appreciate all types of music and really try to understand it. But yeah, there's two pools. There's the older sort of classic music, and then there's my hip hop and R&B influences mashed together to make whatever this is.
Right.
Electro pop, I guess.
It is
to save
amazing.
the Last Dance movement.
It is amazing for sure.
Yeah.
Now, were your parents very, you know, supportive and influential with your music career?
Yeah, 100%. My parents, very, very supportive, very excited about what I'm doing. I think my dad definitely is. My mom struggles with it a little bit. She's definitely supportive, no doubt about it. But I think maybe she never thought that it would
Amount to this.
It
Yeah,
would pop the way it is?
yeah. So I think there's a part of her that is just naturally like worried for me. And I think also just breaking out of the whole 9-to-5 thing, which, you know, is a very working class mentality.
Yeah.
Very normal for most people to work 9-to-5 job. I think they also sort of struggle with me not doing that and trying to understand how I can survive and make it work.
That's the name
Which
of
is a
the
great
game.
question. But no, they're super supportive of me. I'm very, very lucky to have such great parents. Yeah.
Okay. Now, New Zealand. How big and how connected are you with your fans out there since
Very.
the town is so small and everything?
Yeah, no, I'm very, very connected. Before I started writing music, I was performing in a cover band. So I was doing that for maybe 3 years-ish before I started sort of thinking about even writing my own music. I never really thought that it would be a possibility, and especially because New Zealand is so small. The music scene in New Zealand is, I cannot describe how small it is to you. Like, I've done more sessions in the last week of being here than I think I've ever done in New Zealand, ever.
That's
Just to
saying
put it in
something, y'all.
perspective. Yeah, and also like the work rate here is just so much faster and so much, the benchmark is a lot higher. So it's definitely like interesting to come here and to really be pushed in my songwriting, and it's very, very different to being in New Zealand for sure.
And with your songwriting, what are your mental tactics on how you gain your inspiration to write the lyrics that you write?
Look, I never considered myself a songwriter. When I first started writing music, I was working with a producer who unfortunately was very small-minded, and we had quite a toxic relationship. And throughout the first kind of 2 years that we were working together, I was put down and kind of told that because I'd never studied music, that my ideas weren't really good or valued. So that was the first 2 years of my writing, and it really shattered my confidence a lot. And to the point where, like, my manager now, I couldn't even sing in front of him when we first started working
That's
together,
tough.
which is so wild. Like I've been doing it for years.
That's who you're supposed to express yourself to, so they can have more of an identity how to express out to others.
I just honestly, I would like freeze and like, I don't know, like panic and kind of had like a little like a breakdown. And so the first time I was put into another room with other people, it was kind of like 3 years down the track, and I worked with a duo called Saatchi in New Zealand. They're like quite a big electronic duo act in New Zealand. They actually played Tomorrowland last year, which was very, very cool. So I worked with them for the first time, and it was really, really hard for me to make that transition from thinking that I was not a songwriter, that I didn't know what I was doing, that because I didn't study it, that I had no idea how to create songs. But in reality, and I think this trip here in the last week has actually really solidified what I think about my own songwriting, and it's really confirmed to me that I actually can do it. I've wondered whether, you know, these little sessions here and there in New Zealand, like whether it's a fluke, whether I've been pulling these songs together just because of the other people in the room or whatever, but coming here and doing back-to-back sessions and they've all gone well, and I'm like, okay, it's actually, you know, it's not all me, but and I feel like
hard work that you've put into it from the work you've went through.
Yeah, and it's being in the right environment. It's being around songwriters here and people here that are actually encouraging. It's really not like that in New Zealand, and I don't know whether it's a scarcity mentality because it's so small. People sort of think that there's not enough to go around, and so they kind of like hold on to what they have, and they don't want to share, and they don't want to do anything. And here, it's like it couldn't be more opposite, and it really just creates a really nice environment to explore and to grow and to write and to whatever you want to do. It feels like anything's possible in the city. I love it.
Now, everybody outside of here always wonders, like, you know, watching this, you know, side of town on TV and stuff, is it everything that you see? Explain to the people what you thought Hollywood was before you got here and what it is now that you've been here.
Well, I guess I'm not fully new. Like I kind of said to you off air before that I came here with my family on a trip when I was 13 for 2 weeks. I remember going to Hollywood. I remember it being kind of a little bit dirty. I remember there being some homeless people around. Like I have a vague memory of that. But also I was 13. Yeah. So, you know, I really needed a refresh. But, you know, I came here and unfortunately that part is still very true. And I think, I don't know whether that's gotten worse. It feels like it's gotten worse.
It has.
That's not going to lie. It's very alarming.
Have you been downtown though? Have you been downtown?
No, I haven't yet.
Yeah, you're going to be shocked.
Yeah.
Very shocked.
I've heard. And I am going to go downtown just to, because I want to get a full picture. Because I am definitely coming back and I'm going to be spending a lot of time here. Like I know that for sure. So, you know, so in terms of that, unfortunately that's not great. There's no other way to put it. But the other side of things, like the work side of things, I came here with 1, maybe 2 sessions booked. The day that I arrived, they were cancelled. Unfortunately, and I was really worried that this trip was going to be a waste of time and that I wouldn't be able to pull anything together. People would be too busy, whatever. But it's kind of been the opposite of that. I have filled my calendar so quickly from just, you know, going to a session with one person and then they tell the next person and then you've booked something next week. And I think I've done, by the time I leave here, I would have done 7 sessions in 14 days, I think, maybe 8.
Wow.
You know, so that's some pretty good odds. Considering I came here with nothing, it's really worked out. And, you know, obviously I did have to hustle for that and talk to people and connect with people, but it's so much better than I thought it was going to be. So, yeah, it's lived up to the hype.
There is opportunity here. You don't have to come here being scared.
Yeah, and people are so friendly. Like, people want to work as well. Like, they're not lazy. They really want to make things work. So, stoked. Really happy.
No, definitely.
We need a fresh new pair of eyes on LA. Like, your perspective is so much different than natives or, because, I mean, you living here, it's an entirely different experience if you live and you're trying to make friends and have business at the same time. But what you say about LA is so true as well. And I think people kind of lose sight of that. Right? The work ethic.
Yeah, I think that would happen no matter where you lived though, right? Like,
absolutely.
If you stay in a place for too long, you kind of get desensitized to what it is and the opportunities that are there. But I think there's value in like coming in, spending a period of time and then dipping out and having other perspectives.
Yeah.
I feel like it would keep, I'd like to think it would keep me fresh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. And also with you, you know, wanting to experience different, you know, parts of the town and stuff, you'll gain more perspective. And from what it seems like, you'll actually be able or be willing to help.
100%. I'm going to drive to Mexico tomorrow.
Yeah.
You're so lucky.
like
Can I
this.
come?
For real. Road trip time.
Get in my little Fiat.
I got my
do
passport. It's
that.
downstairs.
There's a little bit of room in the car.
We'll make it happen.
Yeah, we can make it happen. I'll be leaving at like 8. Swing by, pick you up.
Now, also, like I said, you're an amazing singer, amazing writer, but you have a incredible stage performance and stage presence. The presence that you have with the audience and everything, it's really connected. How do you prepare your rehearsals? Is there any like mental tactics that you go through and stuff like that? And how do you make sure that what you have in you, you give it all out to the audience?
If I'm being 100% honest, that probably comes second nature to me now. I think being a performer since I was 5, it's quite ingrained in me. I think a lot of the dance experience that I had definitely helps my stage performance. And then, you know, when I moved to Christchurch, I went to study a Bachelor of Performing Arts, which is like musical theatre. I dropped out after about a year and a bit because it was just not for me. I was having a really hard time in the city that I was in as well. But I was like, musical theatre is too niche. Like, what am I going to do with this afterwards? And so there was a little bit of that. But I think another really big part of my experience, which has really helped me. Now, I don't know how much you know about New Zealand, but in Christchurch about 11 years ago, pretty much actually on today, I think, 11 years ago today, 22nd, is it?
It's a lucky number.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, unlucky.
Where she's
Lucky,
about to
unlucky.
go.
Yeah. There was a massive earthquake.
Yeah.
Unlucky. No, there was a massive earthquake in Christchurch, and it decimated like the entire city. Like it was non-existent. And I moved there about a year or 2 years after the earthquake. And still, if you go there now, like it looks like it happened like a year ago. It's very, very slow paced down there, and it's really hard to get things going. There's a lot of insurance issues and blah, 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 whatever. So when I moved to Christchurch, because of the earthquakes, they lost all the nightclubs, they lost all the bars and everything. And there were a couple that popped up in the few years that I was there before I started playing in this cover band. And a place that popped up is a bar called Fat Eddie's, and it's upstairs. It's supposedly like a jazz club, but it's a 400 cap venue that plays only live bands. And because there's no nightclubs, everybody, like all these 18-year-olds are going out to this bar, and we would play. Like I think I've played there like every Friday, Saturday for years. And I would intentionally take the late slot, which is 12 a.m., like midnight till 3 a.m., playing as a live band. And if you're entertaining 18-year-olds that are like drunk and wanting to party, it's a tough crowd. Like you really have to cut your teeth, and like you really have to play, you know, you're not going to play Valerie, you're not going to play like these old songs. You have to play stuff that's new and that's fresh.
And up tempo.
Yeah. So we were playing like top 40 hits as a band. I was playing like Billie Eilish. I was playing really interesting, different things. And I did that for years. And I think because of the earthquakes, it was like a really unique opportunity to learn how to entertain a young crowd. Whereas if I had just played in a cover band in just a normal city where, you know, kind of like older people, I think, I don't know what it's like here, but like older people go to pubs and they listen to like bands. It's not really a young person thing.
It's starting to pick up again.
Is it?
A lot of people are starting to go to like the younger generation going to rock shows and stuff like that where there's live bands and stuff. Yeah.
Well, that's good. Resurgence of the band. It's great. But yeah, you kind of understand what I'm saying, right? Like I would not have had that very unique experience if it wasn't for the Christchurch earthquake. Thank you. I
Blessing
guess.
in that
Blessing in
disguise.
disguise,
Yeah.
or just seeing an opportunity and making the most of it.
Yes.
So that really changed my perspective, and it also changed my perspective on creating the type of music that I want to create. Like, yes, I could go in a studio and I could write a ballad, but I don't want to stand in front of an audience and sing a ballad and have people stand and look at me like this. Like, that's just not the environment that I want to create. So I wanted to create like up-tempo dance music, like fun stuff that even if you didn't know me as an artist, you could dance to it. You could
Feel the
could
energy you're giving.
You could have a good time without needing to know the song. You don't have to sit there and know the music, which I think really helps people just kind of relax a little bit if you're going to try and see like a new artist.
Oh, I didn't know your song the first performance I saw, but it got me.
There we
and
go.
it was just
There
I was
we
just
go.
going, and
Thank
I'm not
you.
even lying. Like, seriously,
Yeah,
amazing talent.
Thank you.
And perspective. Perspective was a big word you used on that. And at this point, I would like to slide into my segment called
Yes.
Blast from the Past, where I throw images up here, and I would love your perspective
Okay.
on them.
Okay, cool.
So, first one here.
Oh, that's so good.
Mm-hmm.
I love those.
What do you mean my perspective? Like, what exactly are you asking me? Just
First thing that comes to mind.
First thing that comes to mind. The first thing that comes to mind is that is a great title for it. That really hypes me up, that title. The first thing that comes to mind is that song was kind of the start of a new era for me that really like pushed me into New Zealand radio. That thing was like my first real like radio song in New Zealand, and it really, really, really helped me. It was the first time that I wrote with some really big like writers, and I wrote that song with a guy who is the guitarist of a band called 660, which is the biggest band in New Zealand. I don't know if you've ever heard of
I
it.
did some research.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. Yeah, so that's a really happy memory, actually.
Good.
Very cool.
Dope photo.
Yeah, this is a really cool photo. I
Thank
love
you.
this.
I was like, I want to lead with that.
Oh, cheers.
Like I said, you are one with the fans.
Oh yeah.
So please.
This was the Holy Fest in Christchurch, and a friend of mine was helping run it and just asked me to come and perform a song. And as you can see, I like to get very involved. Yeah, that's so funny. Wow, what a time!
Seriously.
I love Diwali music. Is kind of sick. It's got a vibe.
Again.
This was very recent.
Mm-hmm.
This was the second time I played Soundsplash. I just, obviously, as you can see the date on it, I just played it about a month ago. First time doing a photo shoot with the wig on.
It was good.
Very.
You like it?
It's a good look for you.
Yeah?
I love the short hair.
Thank you. I think a lot of people thought I genuinely cut my hair off. And I didn't say anything about it for 2 weeks. And every time I made a story on Instagram, I would have to put the wig on. It was like the most punishing thing I'd ever done. And now because of this photo shoot, I've started to wear the wig every time I perform.
Really?
Yeah.
It's like your thing now.
It's
Yeah.
my thing. I don't know how long I'm going to do it for. 'Cause
Oh,
it's
yeah.
I love
so
it.
punishing.
I've noticed that.
It's like,
so.
see ya.
Oh, it's so much work though.
Just keep the bangs above the eyes.
Well, I've been growing my hair for so long. I'm like, I really don't want to cut it off.
No.
But this works perfectly. So
Yeah, wigs are great.
Soundsplash, fun.
Boom.
That was my first Soundsplash. Amazing. Yeah, I was not supposed to play the slot that I had, and an artist actually pulled out, and we got given main stage slot right before a band called Ocean Alley, who's like a massive Australian band. And it was the first time that I'd actually played in front of an engaged audience that was that big. So, yeah.
What was that like?
It was
Yeah.
amazing.
On your
I was
first
so
one?
nervous. I was kind of thinking while I was doing it, because also this festival is the only festival in New Zealand that's R16. So it's a lot of like kids,
Yeah.
essentially. A lot of sober children, which is very,
Interesting.
very...
They're basically drunk people anyways.
Yeah,
Sober
same,
children are
same
basically
thing.
drunk adults.
Literally the same.
For real.
Yeah, baby's first festival. Yeah, it was interesting. It's a different crowd. But I remember sort of the stage being so wide, and I remember going to each side and trying to, that you'd go to kind of one corner and you'd interact with people, and then you'd look over and the people on the other end have kind of like lost interest, and you're like trying to rein them in like cats.
That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
it was interesting.
Bam. How did you come about this part right here?
This was the first photo shoot I ever did in Australia. First time I'd ever worked with a proper stylist.
Wow, what was that like?
It was actually a really terrible experience, to be honest with you.
No.
Although I like this look a lot, but like completely missed the brief. Like totally missed the brief. And also I flew from New Zealand about 2 days before this shoot, and I went to get my roots touched up, and the lady bleached my hair, and it was actually blue. That's fully retouched. It was supposed to be like this color, and I literally got out of it, and it was blue, like actually blue.
Probably that.
And I had
blue shampoo.
To fix it. It was so bad. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I just want the roots touched up. That's it. And she just started foiling like my entire head, and I don't know what was going on. I'm like, I'm not the professional. And I'd been to this woman before. Like I'd been to her many times. She's done a great job. And I don't know what happened.
She just thought it was a time for code blue. Literally.
You literally can't tell. It was
That is
executed
some
really
retouching work right there. That
That's
is not what the
crazy.
photo looks like. Yeah. Oh my
Definitely
gosh.
want to get the behind the scenes story of that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
What was the
So,
original look supposed to be?
I was honestly, it was because it was the first time I worked with a stylist. I was sort of trusting them to do the right thing and follow the brief. And we got there, and there was a bunch of different outfits, and it was just like, this is not what a pop artist would wear. Like, what on earth is going on? Apart from that, that's like the closest I got, and I was like quite happy with that one. But there were lots of looks that I used from that shoot that I couldn't use, and it cost me so much money. And I was like,
Oh my
But
god.
anyway,
The experience was worth it, though.
I learned a lot.
Good.
I learned a lot.
You learn what you won't tolerate
Yes.
either.
Also, obviously from the same shoot, you can just
Yeah.
see that
The
it's started. It's very white.
Yes.
Not supposed to be like that. Rolling Stones. Yeah, Australia, New Zealand. I think this was the first time that I was in Rolling Stone, which was a really, really big deal. It's different to getting on Rolling Stone here. It's actually a lot easier to do in New Zealand, Australia, because it's so small. So I think for people looking at it, it's a massive, massive deal. And it is a massive deal. And, you know, I'm very excited about it. But it's actually not as exciting as what it may seem like to you guys, maybe.
Wow.
What
I was
a
pretty
what a
excited.
letdown.
I love that humble pie right there.
It's actually really true. And I think it's like, it's quite funny. I think radio play here is another funny thing. Like for me, you know, it is hard to get on New Zealand radio, but it's not like it is here. So for me, sitting here and being like, oh, like all my songs get all of the radio play in New Zealand, it sounds crazy because that would just never happen here. So it's all, you know, it's
Politics here a lot of the time too.
yeah, but then you're competing with like the biggest artists in the world, whereas it's not the same in New Zealand. So yeah, so for you guys, that looks much bigger than it feels for
But
me.
sitting with a potential biggest artist of the world, none of that matters because your time is coming. Literally.
Hopefully.
Like,
I just keep
trust.
going, keep doing what I'm doing. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
You look so good.
Same shoot.
Wow.
Yep.
Oh my goodness me. Okay, this was the second time that I toured the Philippines. So this was last year in April, right after I moved out of New Zealand, or moved out of any house. And I didn't know that this was actually what it was when I went there. I knew I had an interview. It was organized by somebody. I think I'd landed in Manila a day or 2 days prior. I don't know if you've ever been to the Philippines, but that place is wild. And so I was like, okay, cool. Like I've done this before. I know sort of what happens in interviews. Like in the Philippines, it's very loose. You don't know what you're walking into. You could be walking into a broom cupboard and have a chat with some guy on the internet. Like it's just, you just don't know what you're going to get. And so I was like, okay, like maybe it's like a local radio station. Like no one told me it was CNN at all. And I just went, I was like, cool, like I'm going to do this interview, whatever. And got the address, walked into the building, and it was CNN, which is like 2 million viewers. And I performed live with my guitarist on the air.
Talk about being
and had, like,
poised.
so wild. And had a massive chat with Rico Heason, who's like a massive, massive like journalist and kind of like a celebrity in the Philippines. Had a really, really long interview as well. I think it was like 15 minutes long or something. And I kind of came out of it just like, what just happened? Great memory though. That's so funny that you pulled that up.
Yes.
You're going deep.
Now,
this is awesome.
And now,
Yes. This
please.
is coming up.
This
very
is
soon.
this is coming up.
Whew. Yeah, this is my so this is, I guess it's not the hometown show technically because I am from Auckland, but it feels like the hometown show for me because it's sort of where it all began in Christchurch. Yeah. This has been on my mind a lot. I'm obviously marketing the show at the moment. It's my biggest headline show that I've ever put on, and it's substantially bigger than anything I've done.
Yeah.
A year ago, I performed in Christchurch, was like the start of the tour, and it was the day that I was leaving, the day I was moving out. Everything was sort of happening at the same time. I released a mini EP on the same day. It was a lot going on. And we performed in a place called 12 Bar, which, again, being in Christchurch with the earthquake issue, there's really not a lot of venues. So we performed in this place called 12 Bar, which is a 220 cap venue. Sold it out. It was an amazing show. 2 weeks later, the place shut down.
She shut the place down,
I
y'all.
shut the place down. No one could follow it. But no. But yeah, so we lost that venue, unfortunately. And I didn't want to not put on a show this year. So I was like, okay, I have to go to a bigger venue. The only thing that is the next step up is the James Hay Theatre, pretty much, which is if you fully open it with the seating, it's 928 cap, which is it's a lot bigger, especially in a little town like Christchurch. So it's a really ballsy move. And when I put it on sale, the whole of the New Zealand industry was talking about it and sort of being like, how's ticket sales going? What's happening? Blah, blah, blah. So I think everybody's very, very curious to see how this goes.
Definitely. Like the preparation you're putting into this show, like how much time are you actually devoting to that? How much time are you devoting to staying sane and, not going
Staying
off
sane is it's a daily challenge. No, look, I'm here, so it's kind of hard to do prep at the moment. But when we go back, we're into full rehearsal mode. Luckily, a lot of the show, I kind of have been working on it. We've just sort of come out of festival season in New Zealand, so a big chunk of the show has already been worked on. There's just some new sections, like a little acoustic section that I'm going to do in the middle, just to really bring it down a bit. There's new dancers. I'm bringing 6 dancers in total. I've only ever done 2, so I'm like extending it out and really wanting to put on a show. It's the first time that we've done a full lighting show. Wow. There's a lot of new things. Every time I go back and do a show in Christchurch, just anywhere really, but specifically in Christchurch, I try to step it up and make it substantially different from the last one. So we're adding quite a lot of new elements this time, which is really cool. Fingers crossed it goes well.
No, it will.
It'll go well. It'll go well.
Are you going to be broadcasting it anywhere? Like,
I'm going to film the entire thing.
Awesome.
So I'm not sure whether I'll put the whole thing up or just like sections of it. We'll see. See how we go. But there'll definitely be lots of content and footage from it for sure.
Oh yeah, you know me.
Gotta get that content.
Yeah. That's what we want.
It's gonna be amazing. And speaking of performances and stuff, what are some mental preparations and things that you work on before you start to physically go into performing?
Like on the day, you mean?
Yeah,
on the day. I just like to be prepared. I like to have hair and makeup and stuff done really early. Like I really just like to get it done, and sort of be in my own space. I just sort of run over the choreography and run over songs. I listen to songs in my headphones and just make sure that I'm not gonna like forget any lyrics. I don't, but I'm just paranoid. Like I'm quite a perfectionist when it comes to the show. It's my favorite part about music is the live side of things, and that's where most of my experience is. So I really like to just be in my own zone. I actually quite often play some Drake before I go on stage.
Yes.
Just hype myself up, a couple of
Bend
songs.
that
I'm like, don't
over.
talk to me.
Make that.
That's definitely a hype song.
So I really like to just get in my own zone, but I don't get too nervous. I like to make sure that I'm like in the environment with the band and the dancers and stuff, like not fully isolated.
And breathing.
And breathing's usually important. But yeah, that's kind of it really. I don't have any crazy like routines or like like superstitious weird things that I do. I'm just pretty because I'm like at the venue and ready to go like hours before that. I'm happy. Yeah.
Now, could you illustrate or could you elaborate on how important it is to have a strong circle around you while you're in?
Gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, and when people ask me for advice for people coming up that are maybe starting out or want to kind of get into music, that's actually usually the first thing that I say is make sure that the team of people around you are the right people. They don't have to be perfect, but they have to have your best interests at heart. And I cannot stress that enough, because if it wasn't for my manager getting in touch with me and shining a light on the people that I was working with in my city at the time, I genuinely don't think that I wouldn't be here, for one, and I know that for a fact. I don't think I even would have like left the country with my music at all. I don't think I would have had songs that have done, that had gotten on radio even. That it was really that, like, it's really makes that much of a difference. And it's not just like your writers and your team, it's your PR if you're doing PR, it's your friends and your family, it's everything. It really makes a difference, because doing music is such a mental challenge. And I kind of use this analogy that, you're kind of at one thinking there's two. You get to two, you realize there's five. You get to five, you realize there's 10. And it's like this never-ending cycle, like this never-ending road of thinking that you learn enough to, maybe my song might do well because I've done these things. And then you look back a year later and you're like, that song was never going to do anything. And, it's really important to just have the right people around you to support you when you are just going through it and learning. I could not stress that
Also
anymore.
have the right people around you to tell you your shit stinks.
Yeah.
Not just yes men and people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No yes men.
That's actually a very, very important part. I'm very black and white, so I like hard truths. I think it's like, what's the point otherwise, Like, are you trying to get better, or are you trying to just like...
Soft times make
yourself
soft
feel
people.
good?
Tough times make tough people.
There you go.
So
Yeah.
there's only
100%.
one way or the other that you should go. And I'm very big on that, especially coming into my own platform and everything like that. It was making sure that I established myself and the team around me, knowing that what I want to accomplish, they want me to accomplish, regardless of where that positions them or not. You have to have people that are, I like to say how I am. I'm a cheerleader for you that doesn't have to be a part of holding up the trophy with you.
Yes.
I just want to see you win, because that's inspiration for me.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
100%. I feel the
I
same way.
definitely got that team here at Mastermind. Thank y'all.
I feel that here as
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
And I'm glad that, before we record anything, we all sit down and get a feel for everyone and stuff like that. But the fact that how you guys like just snapped it off so well, I was just standing back just watching the conversation go and stuff.
Yeah,
and,
like, we don't need you anymore.
right.
I got your coffee.
I'll just wait for when I'm
She
ticked
makes
in
good
and
coffee.
stuff. Yeah, right.
Yeah, 100%.
And she's a hell of a stylist, and I cannot wait to see what you guys collaborate on.
Yeah, me too.
Seriously.
Oh, yeah.
That was the
I'm
first
super
thing
excited.
I said, literally, when I saw you. So there you
Yep.
go. And I did not know you were a stylist, so it shows.
Wow.
Yeah, it shows.
Hey,
I hope
got
it
that
does.
last dragon glow.
Love it. Love
Definitely. Now let's talk about this hit smash single called "Copycat Killer."
It. Ooh, okay. Yeah.
Okay. Now, what was the inspiration for that
I
song?
knew you were going to ask me this.
What was the inspiration for the performance? And dude, like, cause you're amazing, and I watch it too many times, and not even joking, like, just to see how connected you are with the audience and still singing right and dancing right. Cause a lot of people had something to say about Usher's performance, but we're gonna leave that alone.
yeah.
We're gonna leave that alone.
Are we? Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna leave that alone because it ain't about him, it's about you. How are you able to maintain such great presence on stage with that song, with your song?
Just honestly just practice. There's no two ways about it. It's just practice. Luckily for me, the dance break is not while I'm singing. So the only thing I have to think about is, am I going to be out of breath by the time I get to the second verse? And how do I maintain my, I guess like my energy because that song also closes the show. So by that point, and it's definitely, I'd say, one of the most hype songs that I have, which is why we close with it. By the time I get to that point, I've played for like an hour. So I'm like, it's like my last little like bit.
The energy you put out looks like you started with it.
Yeah,
that was your opener.
Good. Yeah, it's definitely something I've had to learn. I've had dancers involved, not in the way that I do now, but I've had them involved for the last sort of year. I think the first time I did it was exactly a year ago, at a festival that I played, and I was really worried about it. And this is also why I don't have dancers for every single song. I sort of pad it out through the show. I have a band. I have a guitarist and a bass player on stage at all times. And I think that comes from my like cover band experience as well. Like I never want to leave that. I don't always just want to be the one person on the stage. I think it creates a much more interesting show. I think dynamically it sounds more interesting. And we can have I have these crazy guitar solo parts. I've got like lots of cool different elements.
I mean, you got an acoustic part in your show that's coming up.
Well,
so
I don't yet,
but
it's
coming
into.
One. You know?
Yes, I'm gonna create that very soon next week. But yeah. So I just want to have lots of different dynamics in the show. But that's just practice. That's really it. Like, there's no special trick. It's just practice. Yeah.
Now, again, the inspiration for Copycat Killer.
Yes. The inspiration for Copycat Killer. So I guess I wrote it maybe like a year and a half ago. And I had another member of my band, and the relationship sort of dissipated. And there was some people sort of involved with a group of friends, or at least people that used to be friends of mine, who were very much part of my inner circle. And as soon as I started changing my direction a little bit, we had a little bit of a falling out, and I was kind of like, this is so petty, but I was like blocked, but then copied directly for everything that I like, so blatantly copied, to the point where it still happens now. And so it's still happening right now.
As a grown person, I understand what it's like to feel blocked by a grown person when you're trying to have an adult conversation.
Yeah, right?
So, yeah.
I can't get my head around it. So anyway, it really doesn't matter. And like, I'm really not like a petty person, but I was in the studio and I wanted to get it off my chest. Like, it was really bothering me. And I'm not the kind of person that needs to talk about I don't really talk about my problems to other people. Like, I kind of just internalize it and then put it into songs. And so when I wrote the song, I didn't think that I didn't think it was going to come out, for one. It was more just like a release for me, to kind of deal with the situation. But then I put some production to it and it slapped, and I was like, well, now I have to put it out. And we started playing it in the live show about 6 months before I released the song, just to kind of test it out and see what the reaction was. And people really loved the song, and so I was like, okay, well, I guess it's going out now. So it's really just about that, and kind of like, it's kind of like a fun little warning, I guess, of like, if you copy me, you're never gonna be original. Like, you're actually never gonna, like, for your own sake, like, you're actually not gonna be able to do the thing that you want to do, which for this person is also music. I'm like, you need to like be original and be your own thing. And so that's where it's a playful song. Like, it's not supposed to be like this hateful thing, because it's not like a spiteful thing, despite the title Copycat
Some of
Killer.
them, they hate us because they ain't us.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But it was just a fun, like,
you had fun with it,
thing.
and it came out to be a smash hit.
Thank you.
So
I really love it.
Keep playing around like that.
Yeah, and honestly, like, the little part of me, and I have to say this is really funny. You know, you can search up people's profiles on Spotify.
Yes.
When the song came out at midnight, I was just talking to a friend of mine, and I was like, I wonder if they're gonna, if this person is gonna like hear the song, because there's they will know 1000% that it's about them. And I never need to say anything about it. And sure enough, for a laugh, I literally looked it up at midnight on the dot. This person was the first person to listen to the song. No
Wait,
shit.
you can see exactly who listens?
Well, you can see most recently played artists.
That is the funniest.
Like,
That is the funniest thing.
It sounds so petty, and I really don't want to be petty, but like,
Look,
there was a little bit of like a smile,
Satisfaction.
Like a little bit of, yeah. I was like, that is perfect.
amazing.
That was like that on its own was worth it.
Yeah, I had an insider like that about a month ago. A close friend of mine was telling me about someone who I'm no longer associated with. He was like, yeah, this person, he's dropping off food to me now. And I'm like, interesting. Interesting how the mighty have fallen.
Yeah.
But then again, it's like the internal me would wish them better anyways.
Yeah.
So that's why I started off away, but I ended it off like, you know what, I wish that person well.
Yeah. And I'm exactly the same. And that's why I want to make sure that people don't view that song as like me being this like petty, like catty sort of person, because it really wasn't like that. It was just like, music is like my way of dealing with things. And so I just needed to get it off my chest, really.
Right.
It's not my fault it turned out to.
And once you get it out, it's
Yeah,
no longer
exactly.
being held in.
Exactly. And I really do genuinely like, I can't almost like feel sorry for this person because I do wish them well. And it's not, there's nothing
Right.
malicious there. I'm just like, what? Like, you made me write this. Like, why did you make me do this?
I love that. That needs to be your second song. Why would you make me write a song about you?
Why did you make me do this? You made it so easy. But hey, it's done now. It's out in the ether.
You're absolutely right.
And I do genuinely wish that person well.
And we'll leave that to the left and go right into some positivity.
Yes,
What's
please.
some great inspirational words that you can leave the listeners and viewers with to get them propel or persevere over the nose.
Come to
Keep going.
LA.
Come to LA.
Come to LA. If you're a songwriter and an artist, come to LA. And
We'll get you straight.
Right, and get in my
100%.
DMs or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
Get in my
exactly.
DMs. I am not hard to find. I'm a very simple person. Again, this is a conversation-based
Yeah.
platform. So come sit down, have a conversation, express yourself because it could help the next person.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about.
Yeah. And also like don't worry about perfection. Just start like I guess from an artist perspective, like just start putting things out. Just start trying things because there's really no way to tell unless you actually go and do something. You can have as many theories in your head as you want, but until you start physically going out and doing it, that's the only way to learn. And don't be afraid to like leave your country and like reach out to people internationally. It took me a couple of years to do that, and I didn't, I thought I'm not ready for it, but there is no such thing as being ready for it. And even with this trip to LA, I'm like, I should have just came earlier, to be honest.
You are literally my third international guest.
Yes.
And counting because this is going to keep going.
Yeah. I'll bring some other Kiwis over.
Yes, please.
Yeah,
and
100%.
we would love to have you back on, especially when you come back from your tour and we can
Yes.
have like, a tour inspirational type of a conversation.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to.
And please let the viewers and listeners know how to find you, your Instagram handles and your SoundClouds and Spotify.
SoundCloud.
Yeah, we want to get everything
I don't
popping.
actually think I have a SoundCloud.
Oh, not anymore?
Well, I don't know. I wasn't really using it.
So
know.
you just let it go.
I might bring it back.
Just
now
kind of how
now
we're
you
getting those,
mention it.
how we're trying to wrap up those profile names that we want.
Yeah, and whoever's got the PRINS one on Instagram, can you please let me know because I really want to buy it or at least get it from you. No, you can find me on all socials: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok under thereal.prins. That's PRINS, not PRINCE. That's PRINS with an S. You can find me YouTube, Spotify, all under PRINS, PRINS.
Thank you. I cannot say thank you enough, but I'm going to keep doing it.
Thank you.
Thank you guys here at Mastermind as always. I'm your host, Sbpress, and thank you for being here. I'm gone. Yes, so since you have been a gift to me, I always come bearing gifts for thee.
No.
Yes. Want to lace you with the latest and greatest Shoe Pug hoodie and Shoe Pug socks.
Do you know what? I've been living in summer for like a year, and I actually came here with like no hoodie or anything. You have no idea how much I genuinely need this.
I'm glad to help then. You know,
I actually
bring you here when the weather's not what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be sunshines and rainbows, and this is when,
That's alright. I didn't know what it was like in winter here, so I wasn't sure, and I came unprepared, and now I'm prepared. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
They hate when you elevate. You're stacking up losses, I'm handing them out, yeah, I had to go delegate. It feel like I'm floating, I'm lost in the moment, I swear I could levitate. They never believed that I would really fly, I had to go demonstrate.